4 young men taken too soon, but their families won't let their deaths be in vain. They're fighting to make sure no one else goes through the pain and heartache that they've suffered.
It takes a hero to walk away. It takes a coward to stop and get involved and punch.
A simple message that's not getting through.
Everyone's got to stop thinking that one punch is going to fix things, because it doesn't.
They are the parents of young men whose lives were taken with a single punch.
I honestly expected him to wake up, and it just never happened.
He was a good kid, that's it. Going out just with his mates, doing the right thing. And to not be able to come home from that, it's scary, it really is.
Patrick Cronin, David Kasai, Jaden Walker and Jack Hanley all killed while on nights out with their friends.
So what do you guys fear could happen?
Oh, the worst. I mean, like Pat Cronin's story, one punch can kill.
Hopefully the county court will uphold that 6-month sentence.
Now the grieving families are in the fight of their lives for justice and better education.
I feel betrayed. That a part of me feels like, so my son's life wasn't worth receiving any justice or punishment. I love you, my son.
Julie Kelburn lost her youngest son, Jack Hanley, on the 10th of December in 2017, when his night out with his mates on Adelaide's Hindley Street turned deadly.
It has destroyed me. And I'm terrified that I'm never going to find any peace ever again.
The kind and quiet country boy making the move to the city only months before the violent attack.
He was a very big boy, but Jack was well known as the gentle giant because he was just a sweet boy.
Compounding a mother's grief is seeing this kiss of freedom from the man who landed the fatal blow that killed her son, Reese Watherston.
I know the offender didn't intend on killing my son, but he did. Where is the justice?
The 22-year-old relieved as he walked away from the Supreme Court after being found not guilty of manslaughter earlier this month. The judge saying she couldn't rule out self-defence, as the prosecution had not excluded as a reasonable possibility that Mr. Watherston fought back because he believed he had to, and that belief was reasonable and genuine, and that his conduct was proportional to the threat he perceived.
I can't believe we've gone through what we've gone through, and they can stand there and say he's not guilty.
Jack's friend Khalees Panzini was there on the night.
The sound of this head in the pavement doesn't leave my mind.
Reese, do you have anything to say to Jack Hanley's family?
I am back day one of grief. My life will never be the same again.
Julie now retreats to Jack's grave, the only place she can visit her son.
I want to be with my son because being in this life now is more pain that I think a human should have to bear.
It's a harrowing experience, but one she goes through multiple times a week. And tragically, Julie is not alone.
After he was hit from behind outside a pub on Saturday night.
Charges over the fatal bashing of David Kasai at Rye in the early hours of New Year's Eve.
Kicked out of the venue before punching his victim to the ground.
The grief of loved ones lost to violence is shared by families across the country.
One punch, that's all it took. He hit the ground pretty hard. His friends actually said you could hear his head crack on the ground.
Stories all too familiar, but somehow the lessons aren't being learnt.
To be honest, our view is that education starts at home. Raise your kids properly, and then they won't be capable of doing this sort of act anyway.
In the fight to prevent more deadly attacks, Patrick Cronin's father, Matt, is tackling the issue head-on.
Prepare yourselves. This can be a bit emotional. It usually is for me.
The family has set up the Pat Cronin Foundation in his honour, sharing their story of extreme grief while also educating the next generation.
I'd think of him as a coward. I'd question as to why I was almost friends with him in the first place, as I would kind of just be almost shocked as to why they would choose to do such a horrible thing.
The man who delivered the deadly blow to Pat Cronin Andrew Lee was found guilty. CCTV shows the moment 19-year-old Pat, seen in the green, tries to help his friend get out of a pub brawl. Lee, in the red, steps in from the side and starts throwing punches. One connects with Pat's right temple, and it would be fatal.
And it could have been anyone. And we wanted to stop this from happening to someone else because, you know, it's torture to live with this.
Katerina Politi is the mother of David Kasai. His life was cut short at the hands of a one-punch attacker on New Year's Eve in 2012. 7 years on, the family say it never gets any easier.
We'll never know where he would be right now, almost 30. We'll never know, but I know if he was here, he'd be living his life, making the most of it.
It's heartbreaking. It's completely changed our world forever. And I just would not want it on anyone.
This is the final photo of John's son, Jaden Walker, smiling, sitting in the back of an Uber with his mate. Just hours later, he was punched in the head and left fighting for his life. The family eventually making the heartbreaking decision to turn off his life support.
It's sad to think that he hadn't found true love yet. He wanted to eventually move out, get his own place and start his own life, and it was just taken too soon from him. That's what really makes me sad.
Research from the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine shows there have been 127 coward punch attacks in Australia from the year 2000 to 2016.
The research also found most of the attacks happen in the early hours of the morning, and many are in public places on streets like this. While the victims' families hope the justice system holds people to account, they're desperate to prevent more senseless deaths.
The grief of losing a child and burying a child is something that no parent should ever have to do.
I'll never get over losing my Jack. My heart is torn, I'm broken.
The DPP has until next Monday to appeal Reece Watherston's manslaughter acquittal.